Hi parents, Kirk Jones, high school pastor. I'm tired. It was Easter yesterday. High school pastor of North Coast Fallbrook. And yesterday we had the Easter message, and we are wrapping up. Before last weekend, we were wrapping up a series in Genesis. So we actually started the gospel message and the redemption story, not in Matthew chapter 1, Luke chapter 1, John chapter 1, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John chapter 1. We started in Genesis, and we looked at uh, the perfect relationship. And then we looked at what broke that relationship, that it was sin. And we talked about why the punishment for sin is death. And that sounds like an overreaction on God's part, but it's not, because John 14:6 tells us that Jesus is life. The Bible tells us that God is the author of life. And when you rebel against God, or when you rebel against life, you are choosing death. Um, so we kind of fleshed out why sin is such a terrible thing. It's not just a mistake. It's not even just sin. It's rebellion against God, the Creator. Uh, so then we talked about the difference between treating a disease and curing a disease. And obviously Jesus is going to show up in the New Testament, and he's going to cure sin. But in the meantime, God sets up, for a number of reasons, this sacrificial system. He sets up a law so that when Jesus fulfills it, he can then perfectly and justly allow us to spend eternity with him again. Um, but he sets up this whole sacrificial system that Jesus is going to come and completely fulfill. And we talked about why it had to be an animal, that the substitute had to be something without sin, and animals aren't capable of sin. And we really just kind of totally unpacked that. And even for myself, kind of looking at the sacrificial system for what it really was for the first time, which then gives so much more significance and power to what Jesus Christ did on the cross and what that means for us. And I kind of left them with, some of you have accepted that decision, and that's awesome. You should be thankful for it every day. Some of you have not. We talked about what that looks like. It's not some magic formula. It's simply acknowledging what God did for you. But for those of us that have, hopefully we are living in such a way that people see that we've made that decision. And that's kind of where I challenged them and left them. So we are then, over the next couple weeks, going to wrap up Genesis and go from there. So thanks for tuning in, and hope you have some great conversations with your high school students. And I will see you soon.